In this movie, the character Solomon Vandy is shown, a fisherman with a small family, including his wife, 2 younger children and an older son. Now, being a fisherman and poor, he did not pay his responsibility for the education of his children. He takes his elder son outside and says, "Son, I didn't study but I want you to be a doctor." Meanwhile they talked. Wild people came from another tribe and attacked the fisherman and his son as they chased them. The fisherman and his son run to his house, and when they reach there, he asks his wife and children to wake up. "People come to attack us and we need more from here." He breaks his house from another side and leaves from there. But he was caught by wild men. And not only did they make everyone their slave, this tribe has a lot of weapons and they ask the villagers to vote for them and will not vote for the government. The tribal leader separated the hands of the villagers and said, "We will rule you and we are your rule." When it was Solomon's turn, he was released and taken to the stream. The tribesmen take the villagers to this stream as it contains rough diamonds. The tribesmen agree on these diamonds and buy weapons. And for all this they use the hard work of the villagers. On the other side, a group of huge businessmen appear, and it was a meeting where they discuss something personal. A conversation that no one outside this room will discover. They also talk about diamonds in the rough, and there were 15 diamonds that are real. The others are used for trading, and a canal is shown where the villagers searched for diamonds. The leader shouted that if anyone tried to steal the diamond, they would be terminated immediately. "Give us a diamond if you find it." Now people were busy looking for diamonds. Solomon was there too, trying. Meanwhile, a villager who found the diamond is shown. He hides it in his mouth instead of giving it to the leader. Unfortunately, the leader sees this and calls him to ask about the diamond. He shoots him when the worker gives him a diamond. He hides the diamond as punishment. The workers are startled and immediately start working. Because the people of the tribe looked like wild people. People will think they don't know anything, but they are actually very smart. They were a team that sells diamonds and buys weapons to make their team strong. Then a helicopter appears there, and a man named Danny Archer emerges from it. Because of this, people point their guns at the helicopter. The pilot escapes from there in the helicopter. Danny Archer comes in and asks about Captain Zero. Danny is a smuggler who takes diamonds from there and supplies them with weapons. Then he meets Captain Zero and takes the diamonds. Zero says, "You remember you have to give me the weapons." Danny says, "Yes, I will bring them soon." Danny considers himself a professional smuggler and uses several goats to escape from there. He escapes from there while hiding the diamonds but is caught by the police, and also get diamonds while searching for goats. Danny was also caught, and then a scene from the canal is shown. Solomon was also looking for diamonds like the others. Meanwhile, she finds a huge diamond and hides it under her toe. The water pump shows the problem and everyone will focus on it. When I got the chance, Solomon says I have to go to the bathroom. But he was checked on his way out of there. Nothing was found because it's hidden under his foot. He goes forward and was about to fix it in the mud. The commander comes behind him. He says, "Give me the diamond because your cleverness won't work." Solomon gets scared and was about to give him the diamond. Meanwhile, another country attacked. The commander dies in it and Solomon escapes from there in time. People from the government will arrive there soon and discovers that they are people who have been banned from voting by the tribe. They are caught, but Solomon is no mistake. He has to hide the diamond there and gives himself up. Later they are taken to jail and Danny Archer was there too. Solomon sees that there is a man the government thought was dead. He had a bandage on his hand because there was a wound. And when he came to prison he lied about his injury. He was still alive, and starts screaming while seeing Solomon. "I saw you hiding that diamond, so please give it back to me. It will be bad for you if you don't return the diamond to me." He also asks the others in his cabin to take the diamond from him and he rewards them. Solomon gets furious when he hears this and says while taking off his clothes, "Look, find the diamond at my place. Where is the diamond? I don't understand them taking my family and asking about the diamond." And Danny heard it all too. Now many days have passed in prison, and the time came when Danny was released. He meets his friend and says that there is a suspicious man in prison, and he talks about a diamond. We need to release him from prison to learn from him about the diamond. Danny doesn't have the money to bail Solomon out of jail. He is then shown taking out his false tooth and removing the diamond from it. He releases Solomon from prison while selling him. He doesn't care about Solomon but wants to take him out while selling a small diamond, because she wants to ask him about that huge diamond he was talking about. When Danny's companion releases him, he then asks him to contact Danny. Solomon doesn't do that, but secretly starts living in another city. He does not reveal his identity and does all the tasks of the city that others do, so no one will know he didn't belong here. On the other side, Danny is shown, whom the man was looking for. Since Danny was a smuggler, he first worked with the colonel, Now the man goes to Danny's house in his absence and starts smashing the thing in his house. Danny beats a man when she meets him and says while punching herself in the stomach, "This is for the things you broke in my house." The man says the colonel remembers you. Now he goes to meet the colonel and finds out that he was his partner in crime. Danny wants to tell him about Solomon and the diamond. Danny returns and sees Solomon there, but he ignores him because she doesn't want to meet him. On the other side, the strange people from the tribe imprisoned Solomon's son with them, and they trained him as themselves. They were then injected with drugs and also given training on how to end people. How to rule and control them means they brainwashed the kids. Then a list appears in the city and there were some names of refugees. People who are new to town and have lost their families and have nowhere to live. There were refugee camps for them and there was their family information, whether they came here or not. Solomon followed the list, but his family member's name was not on that list. He struggles while reading. And then Danny comes when you're looking for him and says, "Why aren't you listening to me?" Solomon, he says, "Because I don't want to, because I know why you're chasing me. There is no such thing here, so please leave here." She asks him to leave him, but Danny says, "You want to meet your family. He won't let this happen. So listen to me. What diamond do you have? I will sell it and get a lot of money in return. You can also take money from it and you can reunite with your family while giving it to the government." Solomon starts thinking about it. Should he tell him about the diamond or not? Few people will notice the attack there, and they are none other than the people of the tribe who have formed their own separate army. They make the citizens their slaves and take those who disobey them. During this, Solomon and Danny start running from there to escape. On the run, they end up in a refugee camp set up by the government. There, Danny meets a reporter who has been looking for diamonds, because this news has spread everywhere and everyone wants to know about it. Solomon says, "I will tell you about the diamond, but if you reunite me with my family, I will tell you." The reporter thought that maybe Solomon would hide the diamond where he lives. He goes to his house by helicopter. Danny and Solomon were also with her. Solomon went with them quietly with them that he might find his family there. When they get there, they find a huge refugee camp. There were many people there, and when Solomon moves forward, he sees his wife. He gets emotional when he sees her and asks her if she is okay. But she starts to cry. She says, "Yes, I am fine as I have seen you now." Solomon asks his elder son, "Where is he?" And his wife begins to cry. He says he was taken by Solomon. When he hears this, he becomes depressed and becomes aggressive. The security guards kick him out and say his name is not in the refugee camp. From there, they move around while sitting in a helicopter. Solomon sees no solution, so he says to Danny, "I have an idea. I will tell you the address of the diamond, but with the money for the diamond, you will save my son." Danny agrees, but they can't go there like this, because the army of the tribe was very strong. As they escaped, they moved to the reporter's van and there were other reporters there. Solomon is holding a camera, so they mistake him for a reporter, but they advance and the army attacks. Many reporters ended up in this attack. Even the driver with Danny and Solomon was terminated. Danny started driving the car and the tribal army was still behind them and repeatedly attacked them. Reporter Danny and Solomon move inside the forest in a car. When they reach the place where the army leaves them, they set out on foot. Meanwhile, some wild people who live there arrive before them. They stop them, but the reporter tries to speak to them in their language. It makes them believe we won't hurt them. So don't hurt us, become friends and move forward. Then a house is shown where only the doctor is, serves and cares for children. He sees children, but Solomon's son was not among them. Now the doctor agrees to help them find Solomon's son, and he takes them forward while driving the car. Meanwhile, some teenagers from the army arrive. He stops them from moving forward and the doctor dies in the process. Danny regains control of the car, and as they move forward they find a military camp. There is a colonel who is a companion of Danny and asks him to join their army. He asks him to fight the tribe's army, but Danny says, "No, I can't." After all this, the reporter says, "I have to be separated from you," and will provide details on how to find smuggled diamonds. What are their criteria? Who should I give them to? And what are the benefits? The reporter leaves after examining all the details. Danny and Solomon move to the forest. As he moves forward, he sees the tribe's army. It consists of several children and elders, and Solomon sees his son among them. He tells him, "Son, listen to me and look at me." Before his son saw him, the others see them and start shooting at them. In the process, they run away from there again to escape. Because it was night, he appeared in the forest, and because of the dark trees, they cannot be found. So the tribe leaves. He shows up in the morning and Danny says bad things about Solomon. "Our night is ruined because of your voice, otherwise we will continue." But how can Solomon make him understand that he does not see his son like this? He couldn't stop and they started fighting while walking because Danny is talking bad about him. Solomon beat him, and when Danny was about to beat him, makes him understand that he did him wrong. If I saw my son, do you think I could stop? Danny realizes and solves the problem. Now when they walk, they get near the canal where the diamonds are extracted from. They were close to where Solomon hid the diamond. They spy on them all day with binoculars, and when night falls, they try to move inside. Here Solomon sees his son and tries to call out to him while approaching him, but his son couldn't recognize him due to brainwashing. He points a gun at them, and this makes the tribesmen come to them as they draw. They make Solomon their slave. When he becomes their slave, they take him to the commander, who is injured because of him. He witnessed Solomon hiding the diamond. The commander points the gun at Solomon's son and says, "If you don't tell me about the diamond, I will end your son." Solomon is thinking about what he should do, and Danny also watched it all from afar. He contacts his military friend and asks them to send the army here and attack that place. After some time, the army arrives, and meanwhile they attack the place. Danny also arrives. He gets Solomon's son out of there and also shoots the tribal army. An army arrives and makes the tribal army its slave. It finishes off all the bad guys, and now the colonel approaches Danny and asks about the diamond. Danny says that only Solomon knows about it. He says, "Solomon, tell them about the diamond," and he actually has a plan. When the colonel sends an army to find the diamond, he ends them all and runs away while taking the diamond from there. The same thing happens when the colonel sends an army. They run away from while finishing them off. Solomon's son walks in front as they leave. Solomon calls out to him that "You are my son," but he doesn't recognize him and points his gun at his father. Then she tells him her mother's name and says, "You are my son, and remember the time you spent with us." Remembering all this, his son begins to cry and hugs his father. Danny calls his friend and asks him to send a helicopter here and send the location at the same time. His friend agrees, and the helicopter will be here soon. Now they have to go up to reach the place. He must climb, but Danny's blood was wasted in these attacks. He got shot and can't even walk. Solomon sees he can't walk, so he says, "I'll take you and lift you on my shoulder." They move forward, but Danny has lost a lot of blood and feels weak, and says to Solomon, "I can travel no further, so you must go alone." Before sending him far away, she pulls out a diamond and gives it to him while saying, "This is your son's future. You wanted to make him a doctor like you told me. Hold it, you need it now, not me. The helicopter will be here soon, so get out of here immediately." As they were moving to the helicopter, some tribesmen came up to Danny, and few of them were from the army, but Danny finishes them off by shooting them. On the other side, Solomon and his son move while sitting in a helicopter. Danny calls the reporter and tells her that Solomon and his son have moved to town. You have to embrace them and tell the world how great they were. They have heroic qualities. When he said this, Danny dies, and on the other hand, Solomon arrives in town with his son. And the reporter welcomed them nicely and told everyone about Solomon Vandy. This is how great he is and what has he done so far. This will make him famous and people will start liking him. Now comes the day when he has a huge press conference. He had his suit shoes and saw Danny picture before he went there. He remembers it, and when he arrived, big businessmen, politicians, and a reporter were sitting there. They clapped to welcome and appreciate him. This is where this movie Blood Diamond ends. I hope you like the explanation. Thanks for watching.